Is mic on? Check, check, check. Audio check. Am I still muted? Tell me now. Is it working? Hold on. Delay. All right, I hear it. It's mic on. It's working. Check. It's working. We're in. Hey! I don't know why that was muted. Stupid soundboard. Anyways, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you hail from. I'm in California. It's like 10 a.m. over here, just about. But anyways, felt like kind of moving stuff over the YouTubes. It's kind of funky. Sorry, my keys moving stuff around on the desk. Kind of funky. I hear it hissing in the background. Kind of funky. Having everything all over the place. Patrick, we made it. We made it. Yeah, man. It is crazy Monday. Happy NFP day. Yesterday, Friday was NFP, but today is the first day that we actually get the digestion. And if you're in our group, then I'm over here like typing away, like here's what's going on. If you're in the market Friday and you were actually looking, it looked really ugly, by the way. But part of how this whole thing works is, Victor, what? 7 p.m. The way that non-farm payrolls works and why I use it as such a huge indicator, it's not about the day itself. Like clearly the day itself can do whatever it does, but it is absolutely about how the market digests that day. So we don't really read into the day. More often than not, that day actually looks wild. But if you were thinking that it was going to be just a really bearish sell-off from that moment forward, it's rarely the case. So like rule number one, if you've been into any of our non-farm NFP like webinars, is don't anticipate after the fact that there's going to be any kind of follow through. That's literally rule number one. So if you were thinking we were going to have like a continuation dump off after Friday, sorry, but yeah, this is actually typical. Yeah, man, Germany, that's wild, Victor. That's why I did not know that you were over there. But anyways, Wild Carl in the house. Good afternoon, baby, BB. If you didn't know, BB is short for. Anyways, yeah, I am back, boys and girls. I think most of the crew is out in LA. I forgot what the conference is called. You guys probably know what the conference is called. It's like Future Finance Forward. I don't know. There's a big conference in LA. I'll probably start going to that eventually. And then there is a Hood Summit in Vegas this week. But yeah, it's and then there's an Apple event this week too. So we're jam packed with all kinds of events this week. Your favorite, podcasters and what have you are probably going to be traveling all over the place. But I'll be here. I'll be hanging out. But anyways, let's get to it. So I'm going to try and keep it somewhat quick today. I do have a meeting in a little bit, so I got to be fairly fast. I'm going to hit the indexes. I'm going to hit the basic stuff. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Number one, if you haven't liked, subscribe, please help us out. It totally helps everything. If what we do here on Mondays, we kind of just go through. Really, it's going to be a quick hit on some of the prior news. I'm going to go through what we have going on this week moving forward. We're going to pull up some of our kind of partners. A lot of people do some. I'll give you a couple sources on some Catalyst Watch going through the week. I'll just tell you right now, Robinhood Summit, Apple event. Those are the key single stock drivers and what we have on the economic data front. And I think this week is kind of like it's going to be choppy setup. I'll just tell you that right now. We have some major economic events, and then we have some more big ones next week. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Should be good to go. All right. So this is my thumbnail for the day. Hood Summit and Apple event. I just thought it was funny. Everybody's looking. By the way, congrats to any hoodies out there, dude. The journey of Robinhood. For anyone in our group, my goodness, or a Mitts group, or anybody, any group. I'll just tell you this much: having been in Robinhood since 8 as a stock, and really just like high conviction as a stock from the lows, and as a company, dude, this hits different. I will tell you, this hits different after coming in and following the company and riding this bad boy all the way to S&P 500. Look, I know some of you guys have done this with Palantir already, but I'll tell you what, I miss the generation of, Amazons and, Microsofts or whatever from like teeny tiny dollars all the way through. But I did catch the crypto run from inception. And I've had my fair share of turnarounds in the market, catching whatever from the lows all the way to like getting, you could get some 10 baggers or whatever, some really good turnarounds in the stock market, but never have I had like from IPO down and then all the way back to S&P 500 inclusion. It just hits different. God, I hope my internet is not. My restream may have chipped away. Yeah. All right. So you guys can hear me. All right. I can see comments on my phone. I just restream is not coming through. All good. But yeah, this hits different. I'll just tell you that much. It feels like, but I'm going to use a weird term. Like, I texted a man. I was like, I popped my cherry, dude. This is today, literally a 55 bagger on just shares. Yeah. Oh, OCTO. Nice. Yeah. Well, this is so I don't know. I'll look at it, but like, I don't know, the journey on Robinhood. I'll just tell you, it just hit different. But anyways, that's me. That's on hoodie. So I'm gonna move forward. So recap. So app loving for sure. That's another one. Robinhood and EME, something like that. Added to the S&P 500. Huge news. Awesome. There was a couple other headlines. Tesla U.S. market share falls. Actually, so these EV names are kind of getting towards the bottom here. Kind of like Max. There's not Max Payne. Almost. It's like Apple. There's really no good news being priced into these right now. That's just my perspective, at least for now. Apple iPhone event. I believe this is tomorrow. In the headlines, again, it's kind of similar. There's like, the headlines are not really looking good for them. I can't tell if you guys are trolling me on this OCTO or not, but I'm looking at some of you guys. Okay, I know some of you guys, so like, all right, I'll look at it. If it's a pumper, though, I'm like, I can't chase this. Anyways, rumored iPhone Air. I have no idea what's going to happen with that, but it could be something where like, look, there's not a lot of good stuff priced into Apple. I really don't think there's any AI priced into Apple. So it's not going to take a whole lot for this to really move the stock in general. It's almost like Google was, where Google was priced in pretty low. It's hard for a lot of people to get excited about Apple. And I'll still say, look, it's not the most exciting stock in general. But look, if something does change from the sentiment perspective, we'll see. It's more like, do you have faith that the company or the team can create that kind of excitement. Again, we don't know what it's going to be. So if something changes, and it could turn the company around. We'll see. UNH. So UNH pops after affirming annual earnings outlooks. So UNH, I think, they got hit again, or not hit, but like they keep getting the same headline over and over and over. I think that bottom is probably in or very close to. I own a little bit. It's nothing crazy, but again, UNH, if you're going to be in it, I think you should probably be in it for the long term, but it's probably not horrible. And then a couple other companies. It was Norwegian Cruise Line and another company called Wix. They're doing some like shelf offering stuff, so they were getting hit as well. Nothing major on the headline news that I saw. Yeah, I think. Again, it's like, I don't think, but it's not about what I think. It's about like, how does the market sentiment change on Apple? So this week, in terms of economic data, so we do get consumer inflation expectations today on the calendar, and I'll pull up the actual calendar here in a little bit. There was a really weird one. So NFP annual revisions, I don't remember, and I might just like not be having seen this a lot, but tomorrow we get NFP annual revisions, and like, my goodness, with annual revisions having been like, with revisions in general for all the BLS data having been such a sticking point lately, I'm just like, this could be a huge deal right now. So this one's kind of got me a little bit on edge. It could be like a sneaky little thing that's in the calendar that I'm not really used to seeing, but only because of how the headlines have been going and how the revisions have been happening. These have been the biggest revisions that that anyone has ever seen in the market. So tomorrow we do get this annual revision thing for NFP, and I just don't really know what to expect. So I'm kind of ready for some kind of curveball. We'll see. We could talk about NFP a little bit when we actually get into the calendar, and we'll pull that up in a second. But this is just headline stuff. We have PPI on Wednesday, which is somewhat important, somewhat market moving. CPI on Thursday. That is, so when we look at CPI, when we look at the actual calendar, when the Fed says that their inflation goal is 2%, they're referring to CPI. And so why CPI is the market's favorite economic data point and why the market moves the most on CPI specifically, it's because that's what they're tracking. So on Thursday, we actually get CPI, and this data point Thursday is going to be the flipping point for the market. So whatever that comes in at, that's very likely going to be the biggest pivot for the week. So treat CPI. So be careful, cautious coming into CPI. That day, you're going to get a pretty epic move. Most likely, I'm not sure which direction, but you could get a pretty big move depending on whether or not the data comes in far away from expectations or not. And then we also get the jobless claims update as well, which, again, if you saw that NFP number, which we'll go through in a little bit, it was pretty massive for sure. So I will just pull over really good. I grabbed Evans and I grabbed Lux's. You know, we've been doing Evans a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab Lux's just because we haven't done it in a bit. And Evan will be back next week for sure. So let's just go ahead and do Lux's. And we still like Lux for sure. So they do a day-to-day breakdown. Really good. So NVIDIA has a Goldman Sachs. NVIDIA will be at the Goldman Sachs conference today. I think that's in a little bit. Consumer credit balance. We have a couple treasury note auctions. BLS payroll data is coming out in a little bit. Apple products. So this is tomorrow. Apple product event at 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. And then Robinhood Summit keynote tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. I think this might be Pacific. So this is the keynote at 8:30 p.m. This is in Vegas. Oracle after the close. Jimmy's not going to move, guys. Don't worry about it. PPI on Wednesday. Energy inventories. That's Klarna IPO. That could be a big one. So Klarna is an Afterpay. It's kind of like a Firm and Upstart type company. 10-year treasury auction, that could be a market mover also. Chewy, crude inventories, weekly jobless claims on Thursday. Robinhood actually does the monthly user metrics. I'm pretty sure that the Robinhood, so it's Hood month also. I'm pretty sure that Robinhood, dude, Lux is all about Robinhood right now. I'm pretty sure that the Robinhood monthly user metrics that come out for August are going to be surprisingly good. Pretty positive. They're going to be surprisingly good for August. KR in the morning, Adobe at night. I don't know. I've been playing with Adobe also. Their Firefly product is like, it's okay. Firefly is basically the same thing as like, if you don't know, like if you're using Adobe, you can just do like AI generation stuff, like generate AI, whatever. Generate with AI, whatever. And Firefly is their image creator, but you can add in Gemini, Imagen, OpenAI, Flux, all this kind of stuff also. And you can just add third-party models. So they're not even forcing you to use Firefly. Firefly is not even, I'm just going to say right now, I don't think it's that different from any of this stuff. I don't think it's a buy, guys. And I've played with it. So I'll just put that out there. I'll just put that out there. That's Thursday. So Robinhood user metrics come out 4:05 p.m. Thursday for August. And then Friday, University of Michigan sentiment. I think what's important here is if you're looking at this stuff, you do actually want to go into an actual calendar. So use tradingeconomics.com and I pull their calendar. So Monday, just revisit 3 month, 4 month, 3 month, 6 month bill auction. Not going to be a big thing. Consumer inflation expectations today came in at 3.2 against a forecast of 3.1. So when you look at this stuff, you want to look at what's the forecast and or consensus, and then what the actual comes in against that. And so it's not about if the actual number comes in as a major difference from the prior, actual versus prior. These two things, not a big market moving event. It's about, does the actual come in massively different from the consensus or the forecast? Because these numbers represent what the market is pricing in right then, right there in that exact moment. Okay, so NFP revisions, annual revisions. This is the one where I'm like, I guess I can't even drill into this. I guess, I don't know if it's like the total number. If it's what the total number has been, then it shouldn't be a market moving event. Patrick, tomorrow it will be Biden's market. If that comes in. If it's like what we already know, then it's what we already know and it's not a big deal. And I'm kind of hoping that's because there's no consensus or forecast number here. So it's probably just like what we already know. Hopefully. I hope so. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I don't even have anything to drill into. Wednesday we get PPI. So again, here's where we are. So the consensus and forecast is 0.3, 0.4. PPI was a market moving event last time, and we came in at 0.9%. The forecast last time was like 0.1, and we came in at 0.9, and that became a market moving event. So right now our forecast is for 0.3, 0.4. You can look at where we are so far. This is, if I drilled into this, this is a month over month. So we were expecting to come in somewhere like this, 0.3. We're expecting to get another kind of 0.3 number. So if we don't get that, if we get another crazy number like that, then it'll probably be another market moving event. And we have different flavors of this. So we have core, we have headline, and we have what's called super core right here, where they take out food, energy, and trade, or the highly volatile items. And then Thursday, which is going to be the biggest market moving day of the week, that's actually CPI, right? So core inflation rate, this is what the market's going to be looking for, the year over year rate. Again, the year over year core or headline here is currently at 2.7. Again, if I drill into this, this is what we're tracking at. If the Fed's target rate is more or less 2, I think it's kind of a bit of a moving number, depending on where we are. We're probably okay. But if it jumps quite a bit, well, things will have to change. So that's the year over year headline. Month over month headline, we're expecting to see something around 0.3, and then core 0.3. And they don't have a forecast for a super core if they don't have it. And the initial jobless claims. Initial jobless claims expected at 240. The slight tick up right now is what we're looking at. We were at 217, 219, 220, 225, 230s. Now we're in the high 230s. We just don't want to be over 250s. You get this weird spike in the 260s. That's when you're like, well, okay, that's really weird. And we really don't get over the 250s typically. This is COVID. And then this is where we will typically stay. So anything over 260s on a long-term basis, 250s, this is weekly numbers. It's pretty frequent. But that's normal. Continuing claims 19,420. This is how many people are staying unemployed. We want to see this eventually tick down. And right now, the fact that these are actually staying higher, this is what they want to see start to tick down. To see that the labor market is starting to strengthen. Oops. And what's up with that? So this is continuing claims. This needs to start coming down. It was here, but we're slowly building. And that's kind of what the labor market view looks like right now. And the Friday consumer sentiment coming in at 57. Again, I'll just drill in slightly here. It's not bad. We're coming off of like a really poor in December and a really good in April, May. And we're somewhere right in the middle. So nothing crazy here. All right. So that is pretty much that. I think it's and here's Evans just in case. Rubric, by the way, was a big one. That's tomorrow. So notable companies to report. Rubric reports tomorrow. Let's go ahead and do earnings hub because I didn't pull that. So Rubric tomorrow, it's getting a little bit of a pop today. Well, actually a pretty big pop. Then we have Synopsys and Oracle after the close. That's pretty much it. Let me see Popular. Oh, look at that. You can add all this here now. This is cool. They've updated that. That's pretty cool. IPO Whoa. Uh-oh. Figure IPO? Is that true? I didn't know that. Uh-oh. Figure IPO is happening on Thursday. I'm going to have to text our boy. All right, Figure IPO happening. No, that's different. That's not the right one. That's something else. Lending, trading, and investing activities. I'm thinking about something else. Gemini, LGN, Legions Corp, Engineering Installation. They had me going. Via. It's loans. Yeah. It Cactus Jack. They had me going, man. Junyu. I don't know. I don't know what I mean, clearly it's stolen. How mad would you guys be if it was an IPO coming and he didn't say anything though? Anyways, not a whole lot, but if anything, Rubrik, I'll say this, Rubrik, when I was in enterprise sales, it was between Rubrik and Palo Alto Networks. These were the two easiest things to sell because these technologies, these things just work. So it's a smaller TAM because it's data security, like data backup and security. But as I left it was very good technology, and stuff that like it just works. So I'd say best in class, but how big is that specific market? I think it's more like TBD. I wouldn't say it's not as small as, let's say, like a Okta, because it's like backup and security. Yeah, he would absolutely be all over that. I don't know. They got me though. They got me. Anyways, I think that's it for now. So let's do this. We got one more spot to do. I got about 30 minutes before I have to jet. Let's check in with our friend, our psychic friend, Miss Cleo, and then we'll take a look at a couple charts. But let's get to it. Whoa, it didn't pop up. It's here, I promise. There it is. It's here, I promise. All right, guys. So oh my goodness, the way this works, this is the tarot reading for the week. The way this works is we get one card, that's the theme card for the week, and then we get a card for every day of the week. This one's not that bad. I'll tell you what she does. So Miss Cleo, our friend that does these things, she does a reading for crypto, and then she does a reading for stocks. She also does this stuff for like sports. It's very weird. I looked at the crypto one and it was not good. So be happy that I'm not trading crypto. But anyway, so the King of Pentacles, this is not bad. We saw this card the other day. I don't remember. This is like the gold card. By the way, gold was like rippy this morning. So maybe that's the theme of the week. Who knows? But this is like the jewels, pentacles. Like I just see gold. I see some more gold. And I remember her talking about this card is like we're having to bury our treasure. What is this one? 6 of Cups. This looks like another charity card. Like we're giving it away. Maybe we're giving it away. We have so much, we're giving it away. This does not look like a bad card, though. I don't think that looks bad at all. King of Cups. I mean, this does not look bad. Judgment, though. I really don't have any bad views here. It doesn't look like anything's like spewing over. I feel like she might be setting me up for a trap though, because like, dude, it's never all good. The only thing is like, we started out with a lot. Yeah. So maybe it's that we started out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're only left with 1. This is the only thing I can kind of read into here. Like we started out with 7, we started giving them away as charity because we thought we had so much. And then we're left with 1. That's all I can really read into this. But anyways, let's see what Miss Cleo has to say, because I don't really know. So theme card is the King of Pentacles. It looks like we're going King Wands to King of Pentacles. We don't have a lot of data for that type of series, but we do have data that says this card is low energy and rarely trends negative. Okay, so as the King of Coins, right, it is his job to protect the wealth that has been acquired. However, he's not an earner. It's about what I was looking at, which means we may spend more time protecting than progressing. So chopped, so sideways. I think it's Condor week. I would actually go with that theme. Sell premium in both directions. Monday, 7 of Pentacles, so cover call week. This card tells us that it's time to keep working. The harvesting premium. The harvest is not quite ready. It has a negative bias most of the time, but loves positive chop. That's covered calls. When following a major arcana, we closed with Justice last week. This means the best case for bulls is probably hovering just above flat, while the best case for bears is a negative trend. I'd suggest selling most rallies. Sounds like cover calls. I like the read. I have the same read. I'll just say that. Tuesday, 6 of Cups, 7 to 6 says that if Monday is red, we may continue in that direction. It's not really red. Especially, by the way, if hoodie is like a major component. 7 to 6, Monday for red, we may continue in that direction. But if Monday is green, we may be red anyways. I also have that read. So don't buy the rally. Don't chase the rally here. So it's Tuesday. Turnaround Tuesday is the way. Turnaround Tuesday is in the cards. Literally, this card is like Monday's card. Bulls can hope for a slightly above average day, while bears can root for a bearish event. I would only chase sellers here, not buyers. Even if we gap up a little bit, I just don't see a whole lot of extension, at least at the index level. Individual stocks, totally different deal. Wednesday, King of Cups. This card's motto: keep calm and carry on. He arrives when times are tough, and we may see struggle to keep our emotions in check. This suggests that this card will bring some combination of panic or euphoria. Also like this, because if we don't, All right, I'll show you in a little bit. Look to Monday and Tuesday's energy to hint at what we can expect here. Continuation on those days probably brings a culmination event. Mixed days open the door for mean reversion. Yep. In either case, just be careful. This card has a negative bias and loves to trend. Thursday is Judgment Day. Thursday's Judgment Day. Look for a choppy day that finishes within 0.5% of the open. Hiya. If it does trend, it will be to the downside. Especially if the King of Cups was red. What day was the King of Cups? Oh, Wednesday. This is a day to sit on hands and wait for the next. So what day? What was CPI? CPI is today. CPI is Thursday. This day, sit on hands and wait for the next setup. Selling calls may work, but we need to see how the week unfolds first. It depends on where we are. Friday is the Page of Pentacles. Page brings reversals, but lack the energy to fully see them through. We may have a Pentacles theme card and a Pentacles card on Monday. How does Miss Cleo know? Did she pull the cards early? Therefore, the week may close with the same energy it started with. As far as far as history goes, this one prefers mean reversion, but usually closes near flat. It rarely trends green, especially after major arcana day. Look for strong start that fades after lunch. I would not chase rallies. Interesting. What do you guys think? Bearish event, major job revision. Jack, I'm going to fully loaded long. You know what? It's really not that bad. So I'll show you guys this. I'll skim through some of your requests, but I would really like to give you guys a couple picks of mine that I think are solid risk reward. I would like to show you guys how this works because I'm pretty confident in how this works. And if you have a couple requests, go ahead and slap them in the chat if you have not. And then if I might just hand select them. But remember, I'm in a bit of a time crunch today. So how NFP works, and what we do is that we take the high and the low of Friday's session, and not just like the session itself, but the moment that the market received the data. So I'm going to make the pre-market very bright white. So the pre-market, meaning London session, is very bright white here on my screen. Pre-market starts pretty early, and the market actually receives the data in this candle right here. But so this candle is right where we start to track. And so the way this works is that from the moment that the market receives the data, we start to track the high and the low from that moment moving forward. And so what that leaves us with is essentially 652.21 and 643.33. I'm going to go ahead and change my settings one more time, as I forgot that these streams don't, it's better for you guys for me to zoom in just slightly. I was already on 200, 225. And I don't think I can change that. I don't think that does anything. It's okay. I'll just do this. So this is NFP high. $652.15 and change. And this is going to be NFP low, 643.33. What's interesting about this is that more often than not 100% of the time, but very close to, this will actually mark the high or the low for the entire month. This is September. So the logic here is that we need to realize this could be either 652.21 is either going to be the high of the month, or 643.33 is going to be the low of the month. It's pretty possible, and not possible. It's more probable than not. When we look back at history, the way that this works, this is August. This is the August NFP. This, in fact, was the absolute low of August. It absolutely was. I can do this many times over. When I say not exactly, but pretty darn close, this ends up being very close to the low of July. Very close to. But what I want to do, and this is just July, I'll use this as a use case example because I think we can have something very similar to this. When we say that day, NFP day itself, it doesn't hold a lot of weight because this is July. That NFP day, look, very bullish. If you thought continuation was going to happen after an extremely bullish day, well, you were sadly mistaken instantly because you were met with disastrous follow through the very next day. But in fact, what happens here is that, and I'll just switch to a 30-minute chart. Sorry. What happens here is that a lot of times the market just spends, in this case, 2 weeks going sideways, digesting the results of that data point. And in between that 2 weeks, we will usually get CPI. We will get some other things. Sometimes we get FOMC, all of that, and you'll have some other catalysts. What we're looking for is a full day like this to confirm that we are out of the box, and the box being that day's high and that day's low. And so when Miss Cleo says things like, hey, look, we can be in for some chop, we will be range bound in between the high and the low of that day, back and forth until we can finally get a full day's open and close, meaning open and close, 1, 2, open and close. So 1, 2, open and close, 3, 1, 2, 3 days, fully out of this box with, by the way, a retest right off of that exact point in time. This is how you know. That's what confirmation is going to look like. And it's going to look like very close to this, very close to this. So in between that, you don't want to be chasing necessarily a breakout or a breakdown outside of this box. You don't want to get freaked out because even here, if you thought that this was a big breakdown, also sadly mistaken. See this day here, this is open above the low, close below the low. That's not good enough. This is open inside, open in, close out. That's not good enough. Open in, close in, not good enough for a directional move. Open in, close above, not good enough. What I mean by not good enough is it means that you're just going to be chopping inside the box until you get those full days opening and closing outside of the box. Outside of the box as in that day's range. Even here, you get this. And so even if you have a open in, close on, not good enough, right? Open in, close above, you have not good enough. Open in, close on, 1. Open below, invalidated instantly. So that's not good. Now you're all the way back. Open in. So you see what I'm saying? You need to be patient here. And so it becomes a range to trade. And it's a very crystal clear range trade. You'll get a breakout, but you're going to break out to the next level. And so what I'll show you here is that as we trend, I'm going to give you 2 targets. So 1, the next level, if we go to the downside here, the next level down. So you have it. So it's going to show up wide on my screen, 628.16. If we get that full day's open and close, so we need open and close. It's going to look like this. Otherwise, if you don't get that, the range is 652 to 643. Otherwise, if we're opening above 643.33, and closing above 643.33, you should anticipate that you're going to have this 7 to 10 point move all the way back to the top of the range. Conversely, same thing for the Qs. If you are opening inside, closing inside, you also need to anticipate that you will move straight back to the bottom of this range, and you will trade completely sideways, just like this, for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. But fortunately, now you know this is the blueprint. Until you have that full, it's going to be 2 or 3 days or a catalyst movement that takes you fully, completely out of this range. Now, I don't have, because I don't have a higher NFP level here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you a target that's going to be using extensions. And it's going to work like this. So it's going to be 660.98 is going to be that first extension higher. If you get that first move, that first trigger upside, there is your first trigger. It's going to be 660, then 669, and we're just going to use our fib extensions. So these two levels here, you can go ahead and mark them now. Take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. But those are so it's going to be essentially like this. 1, 2. 2 moves and a target. This one, yeah, it's big, but it is what it is, and a target. Otherwise, from here to here, here to here, these are your trading ranges, and you should expect this range, this 7 to 10 point range, you should expect price to actually traverse this range within 24 to 36 hours, actually. From the bottom of the range to the top of the range, and from the top of the range to the bottom of the range, it will actually make this full move every time within 24 to 36 hours. It's going to feel really weird. So when Miss Cleo says what she says, I'll just say, historically speaking, it's accurate from this setup. It's very wild. So Carl says, so this is at the index level. So from a stock perspective, it's a little bit different. Your stocks are going to be catalyst driven. The stocks are being catalyst driven. What you do with this information here is that when the index, if the index is not triggering to trade downside, then your stocks will be able to continue to move to the upside. But if the index says, hey, look, we are going to go down, at that point in time, nobody should really thinking that their stocks are going to go higher. Like, unless you have some crazy catalyst, but even then you really need to challenge your logic, because if the indexes are coming down, unless you're ultra defensive, it's not likely that you're going to be going up. You should really just be, shifting to a very defensive posture. On the other side of the coin there, if the indexes are saying, hey, look, we're going to be going up, there's really no reason to be thinking short. Period. End of story. And that should give you confidence from your overall trading perspective. And this is for the monthly trend. And this is how you can get that extra level of conviction across the board. So the Qs, so that's SPY. The Qs are very similar. But the Qs are leading the pack right now. And so QQQ, this is where we are. By the way, remember this pattern? Funny story. I mean, funny, not funny, but like definitely not funny if you were trading for this. But it was a joke. It wasn't a joke, but this is a very bearish setup coming into a very heavy fundamental event. But this is one more reason why I'm not a pattern trader, and I'm not a pattern trader on purpose, because like I will actively ignore these patterns. People say, "Don't you see this head and shoulders?" Like, yeah, I see it. Do I care? Absolutely not. Right? Like, will I completely ignore it? You betcha. Perfect example. these fail more often than they actually play out. Like, would I be ready for it? Yes. But listen, there are certain things that I pay attention to, certain things that I do not, and there are reasons for that. So apologies for that tangent. So I am just going to, I need to actually save this. So that's our NFP high. This is our NFP low. Here, the one that's showing right now, that's our, I don't need to, oh my God. I don't need it to show. I don't know how to get it. Show countdown on close? No. Anyways, when we're at the high, so look, this is definitively an open inside. Even if we close above, it's not going to count for a continuation upside. That's not happening right now. We already went through this level. So don't expect, even if we continue higher through, I don't expect a follow through right now. What we do expect is that for the Qs, we are within range. But here, this is the chop zone. That's what we know. These are the rules set. Downside though, look, we know what the triggers are. I'm just letting you know. So we have one. If we get that trigger, which we do not, that's your range, 560. One level at a time. Not gonna. So they're here. If we continue lower, I'm just gonna give you one at a time though. So this is gonna be one extension. And that's going to be a second extension. That's about 600 for a full, like a second full extension on. So go ahead and screenshot this if you want for QQQ. But what we need is we need a full daily open and daily close. We need 1, 2 of those. And it would look like open, right? Something like this. And then we should be on our merry way. This intraday could come up like this. But, you know, stocks don't go in a straight line. It'll be like that. And it may end up being on some kind of catalyst. But the idea here is, did we set the high? Have we set the high? Or have we set the low for the month of September? What's cool about this is that we can say, hey, look, we haven't even tried to test the lows yet. So far, that's nice. We can go look and see in history, December. Let's see, by December. December of what year was it? Somewhat similar. I hope we don't set up like this, but this is December 2024. This is the, this is December non-farm payroll. It's very similar, where this is that non-farm payroll event. Again, 2024. It was in fact the high, but the lows were tested once very quickly. Here, open above, close below. That's not going to be good enough. We have one open below, close below, open above, close inside. invalidate, right? Open above, not going to work. Open above, close below, not going to work. Open above, close inside. It's not even close to the highs. Open above, close below. This is 2. This is actually an open above, and this is FOMC death. But this is what I'm saying. We have 2 things. So over here, very similar, CPI. CPI here. And then FOMC here. We could have this kind of setup, but in this event, we never really tested the highs. We did test, this looks like a football play. We did test the lows multiple times, but we will always have something like this. So I would just want you to think, hey, have we, the logic and the thought process as we move forward, it's going to be choppy, but think about, have we made the high or the low for the month as we go through this? And Jarrett, look for the bony frill for sure. But anyways. All right, guys. So I think that's my message right now. And so when it comes to Miss Cleo being chopped, this is what I mean. We need to see a very clean, kind of breakout. Clean kind of breakout. All right. Let me scroll up a little bit and see, what did you guys have for your requests? Bullish on hood metrics, yeah. Let me see. On Thursday. You guys are funny. Oh, ALAB. Yeah, this Astera, dude. Astera has been absolutely insane. So I do think, so generally speaking, you're either, so there's some kind of confluence stuff. So Astera, yeah, so they had their earnings. This is nonstop too. So I kind of just want to leave this one alone. So we would break a structure. I don't know if this is like Robinhood 2.0 or what. Even from 50, or maybe from 50, this is crazy, right? This has been a crazy ride as well. Custom silicon. So, but here's our now. So here's our now new consolidation. It was one day, and we come back through even this, the earnings. So what this is, so the earnings report. So from the earnings report up to the high of that ends up being, and I should have taken this. This ends up being literally a 50% retrace from that second extension, tags it, and boom. And then here we are, we're actually at targets. So I can't really press this either. I think it's a great move. I think as long as you can hold over 223.63, then you're another $10, $15 almost, 236, and then ultimately 255 and then some. But this thing is just like, you blink and then it's like, poof, gone, right? So what can we do here? So I think if this is your breakout 183, that puts me at a retracement somewhere around 200. So I can look for a retracement somewhere around the $200 level. And that would be ideal. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's what it would be. If you take your eyes off this thing, it just goes without you, right? It's just, this thing has been insane. UNH, I think can be a play, right? So UNH affirmed. It's still in the box, right? Right now, what we want to see is we want to see this affirm as a liquidity grab. So I don't think you have to chase this here. I think you want to see this kind of base out. And I'm not going to get into major weeds because this has a dividend coming, right? So that's on the 15th. You may see a little, every time you get a dividend coming, you get it's a big dividend, $2.21. So last time here, you get a little dividend pop into it like that. It's not sustained. You get X date, Monday 16th, and then it sells off. You get an extra pop, and then it sells off. So I think that's all you're going to get is this right there, and I think that's literally it. So if you're probably halfway into it, so I don't think you're going to get much, and then it's probably going to pull back somewhere into 300s, like 310s maybe, if it holds a decent base and you're still right in that value area. It'll probably get to about 328. Possibly, which is here. As long as it holds a higher low, that's fine. But generally speaking, this is your base. And net, you want this to be kind of like, if you were going to be a pattern trader, you would want this to be like the head of your inverse head and shoulder. So this forming that would actually be ideal anyways. Oxy, do a time check. Oh, I got to go here a little bit. Oxy, I think is fine. So this here is that last breakout right over here. I can draw this further left and say, look, we are, again, X date on Wednesday. You're retesting that breakout. You have very tight squeezing area. I will stay here and hang tight. I actually do like this general area for a pullback retest as a launch pad. And I have a lot of a lot of buyers that built up in here. I have essentially 3 months worth of new investor base that was built up here, that when I can look at this from a longer term perspective, if I flip to a weekly chart, ideally, if this is defensive, that here, this 43 area and this general zone here, I think that's it. In the way back machine, way back machine is going to serve as a pretty heavy base, prior resistance, support. This is in fact 43 down to 38. And if we move it forward, I mean, that's by the way, 2008. Not that, I mean, just 2006 to that, just inflation. And then this massive breakdown, 2020 to 2019. Look, if we retest in there 43s, I'm fine, but I don't want to see like major breaches. I would like to see it bounce here. I do have some March calls on Oxy to go back into the 50s and then set a higher high, which could put me into that 55-ish area. So I'm looking for this to end up being a bit of a launching pad into here, this upper end. So I'm looking for this to build. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to know very soon. If I'm wrong, then I'm going to know right here, pretty much right now. But this is where I need to start to build that position. Right in there, which I just started like last week. Okay. CRM, I think, is fine. I got to go here in a little bit. CRM is on the mend. I still think you need to give it a little bit. Same thing with Marvell. I saw a little life. I'm going to drop one to watch. That's CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike always does this. It's a nice dip off the lows post earnings. Look at this, guys, right off the 200-day. Throw this on your watch. Probably didn't mention this to a lot, but I'm going to throw this monthly levels here right off the 200-day. Nice little base here. Higher high post earnings. So earnings pulls back. We've come down quite a bit off the big triple top, whatever, down 25% or $130 off the highs. It's decent discount. This one topped out first, way in the beginning, July. This is patient zero, July 9th, before everything else. Is it going to be patient zero for the lows? I don't know. At least it's worth a watch. I have a breach of the lows here. I have my 20-day SMA actually starting to flatten out for the first time in a very long time. 200-day simple moving average is starting to flatten, coming off of a small slope, and the 50-day is also starting to flatten. So this tells me that at least maybe this is in the process of potentially bottoming. This is mostly intriguing. Someone mentioned bony frill. This is the bony frill of your right triceratops. Do we get the full? Do we get the full thing? We just want to avoid the back end. So if we can get the up ski, I just want to avoid the down ski because these both they play out on both sides. So, anyways, right now I have a failure to go further down from a month to month perspective. Right. So the monthly low. This is our monthly candle. So the monthly low here is 409. Right here. 409.73. Last week's high, simply stated, is right here. 418. We're sitting on the white line. That's a 20-day simple moving average. I think you can see that, but I'll make it a little bit thicker. And the 50-day simple moving average, not sure if you can see it, is blue. We don't need that. The monthly high, 457, is going to align roughly with the 50-day simple moving average. We say in trading, you play this SMA, simple moving average ping pong. That's the ping pong. By the way, that's a big range. So from a trade perspective, that range could be $35 or 8% from equity. It's not too bad. I can get a little extra confluence here. And I can say, hey, look, I have a pretty decent consolidation area. And I'm just now running into this prior support area, which is going to be, and we'll call it some kind of breaker structure right in here. But it is a range. So support and resistance, it's not a hard line in the sand, right? It's like a general range. And so that range can range in this box right in here. So we're smack in the middle of it. So if this can continue a little bit higher, for sure, I think we can see that. Sorry, that should be green, but whatever. Do I try to go for the full thing? Who knows? But first order of business would be kind of cool if I can get through here. There she is, right? So target 439. You might not see this. Here are targets for you. Screenshot them, I guess, if you want. Right here, right now, if you get this, that's literal, actual pathing. This is a fair value gap. Say 440s, just underneath 440, I would say. to take that first chunk, but 427 up to 434, possibly into 440, easy. If you get over this 445, well, that's a whole nother trade, and you could see it into 457. So each one of these is a potential trading range. A failure is also a potential trading range. But I think this is something to look for the next couple weeks. I don't want to go that route, but you could. But I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think so. This looks more constructive than anything to me, especially if we can hold up here. But that's where I got. All right, guys, I do have to jet. I got a meeting here in a little bit. I'll be on some other streams throughout the week, and I will see you. Miss Cleo is right, 9.8. Oh, man. Yeah, we have a lot. Look, I would say this week as a whole, just cautious. There are a lot of setups that look good. I would trade lightly and cautiously. And from an investor perspective, I would just dabble, if anything. Oh, and there was another one, ARM. So some of the semis are coming off some significant weakness. Those look somewhat poised to see a little bit of strength. Buy low, sell high. That's the idea. And yeah, I think there's some good stuff coming, but the market is still on edge, and we have one significant turning point this week that might save us a little, that could possibly make some movement, but really it's next week's Fed decision. So FOMC is going to be either the springboard or the death blow, one of the two. And the fundamentals are, doesn't matter how good we chart, doesn't matter how good of a trader we are, fundamentals are going to supersede a lot of what we do. So trade safe, know what you're doing, and like if you're going to do something, have conviction. It's not about today or tomorrow necessarily. It's a marathon, right? Not a sprint. Some smart people told me that once. But anyways, all right, guys, that's it for now. I love y'all, and I will see you on the next one. Adios.